The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to The Gloves Are Off. I am Lance Phillips, and today I am armed with a bunch of different weapons, including my official Gloves Are Off mug and two incredible guests. Of course, Andrew Brethauer from the Lloydminster Stores. You don't like that intro?
Well, like, my cup's losing it. Like, it's getting a little...
It kind of is, yeah.
Of course, I've been asking for a cup for 2 years, but
sure.
No one seems to give me one, so...
Andrew Brethauer from the Lloydminster Stores, thank you so much for being here yet again.
No problem. Always here. Never leaving.
And what once was the title champ, you were holding the title.
Basically, interim host.
Yes.
I'm the former interim
Adam
host.
MacVicar from New Cap News.
Former interim host, and we're back.
It's good to have you back.
But guesting for the first time.
Yes.
Should be good. I'm looking
disappointed.
forward to
You guys should have fought it out for hosting.
For hosting.
Like,
We thought
the gig?
about strapping these gloves on.
Like ratings?
Yeah.
I'm just
Like
saying.
using all the stuff on set to battle it out.
On dibs the racket.
Where's that baseball?
Who gets the deflated soccer balls?
Yeah.
What I want to know.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Let's get into it.
Cool.
There is a significant soccer match coming up this Saturday in Toronto. It is the MLS Cup, and the Toronto FC are in it. The first Canadian team to ever get into the MLS Cup.
Mm-hmm.
The question here is, what does this do for soccer in Canada? We've seen what the Raptors effect has had for basketball in this country, but what is this going to do for soccer in this country, whether they win or lose? Mr. MacVicar, we'll start with you.
Well, I guess we're going to start watching Toronto, and then they played Montreal, correct?
Yes.
In the Eastern
In the East Conference Championship.
In the East Championships, I saw it was soccer frenzy. All the major networks, that's what they were leading with, and we had hockey on. The Maple Leafs were playing, and that's what they were leading with as well. But soccer is always going to be. Everyone says hockey is Canada's sport, and that's true. We are hockey, but you have to admit, a lot of people play soccer in this country. I have a stat: 2.6 million people in Canada played soccer in 2006, and of course, with the increase in population, that's also got to increase as well. So I mean, it's just cementing soccer as Canada's #1 sport. You know, if we're not going to count hockey here, but we're going to say soccer is definitely for sure. And if they win, Canada's #1 sport without a doubt.
Mr. Brethauer.
No.
You don't agree?
No.
You don't
It'll
think so?
never be Canada's #1 sport. It'll never.
Even with the diversity that we see in this country, and I agree that soccer is becoming incredibly popular, and with the diversity we're seeing, you still don't think that that's the case.
Like, there is diversity and there is a lot of people playing it, but I don't think it'll ever reach the magnitude of what we, like, look at other countries. Okay, let's look at England. Let's look at
fair
other
enough.
places.
Yes.
Soccer is that's their hockey.
The be all
like,
end all,
That's
yeah.
how, like, when we do hockey, we're talking Hockey Night Canada. We're talking every 5-6 channels of hockey on. The panels. We're talking all of that. Like, how much hockey coverage do you watch in a week?
It's incredible.
That's what soccer. Are we ever going to get to that point where we're going to have panels on Friday or Saturday night games and talking soccer every single day? No. This is probably, and I kid you not, the first time we've ever talked about TFC on this show since I've been here.
So TFC came out in 2007, and they struggled to gain fans. They've gone through terrible football years. Like, I mean, awful football years. And just over the last 2 or 3 seasons have they really started to garner more interest. They sell out regularly, and they're going to have 40,000 people at this game. And I'm just seeing that coupled with what the Canadian national women's team has done is just really generating a lot of interest for soccer in this
I'm not saying
country.
it's not, and it is. It's definitely created an interest, and there's a lot of, you can look at Toronto FC, and then when you add Montreal and you add Vancouver, now we've created a new culture, and then the women's soccer program too. The World Cup here was great, and then just watching them all the time in the Olympics is great. You hope the men get to that level as well, because then it would cement soccer even more. And so, yeah, it is growing. It is great to see the sport growing in something else different. It's like the Raptors effect. It's like, the baseball, the Blue Jays effect. It's the same thing. Now more kids are playing baseball because the Blue Jays are doing exciting and they're doing well. So I think we'll see the same thing here, win or lose. Soccer's gonna go to the next level again.
Did you see that happening immediately, or do you think we're talking over many years here? Do you think something's going to happen right away?
I guess where do you want to put this? Are we saying it's going to jump another sport? Are we saying that soccer is now going to be the new I don't know, what do we care about in this city, or new basketball? So is it going to go hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, or whatever order you feel like? But I don't think it's going to jump one of those. I think it's still going to be hockey first, and then it's going to go probably football, baseball, basketball, somewhere in there, depending on who you are. I still think it's that fifth sport, and I'm not counting the CFL. CFL would be like the sixth maybe, but I still think it's not going to jump up into that top 4 just yet. It'll take a couple more years and a lot more other success other than just TFC doing well.
If I could add, I do honestly think it's if they do win, it's also creating, young kids playing soccer in Canada. Before it was like, well, how do I get over to Europe and play soccer? Well, now it's possible that they can have a pro career, a successful pro career here in Canada. So that's kind of, I guess, what we're talking about here is that it's cementing more of a Canadian culture as a part of it.
Well, and they are adding, and that's the thing. And they are looking like the Whitecaps have camps in, say, Saskatoon. They have the entire prairies pretty much covered, looking for players, trying to develop them into the next level. And even as low as U10, like I think did a story last year, U10, and inviting them to camps to show them the road they can take to getting to the next level, the MLS level. So it is great in the sense that even those clubs are taking the responsibility themselves of trying to grow the game in Canada.
The other thing too is that the ticket sales were incredible. So tickets went on sale Monday to the general public, and not all tickets. Around 10,000 sold out in 3 minutes. So there is genuine interest, and for the city of Toronto, there'll be interest moving forward year after year as they continue to sell this out. I mean, they have about 20,000 season tickets sold every year for this team, which is fantastic for a stadium that seats around 27,000. That's pretty impressive.
Well, Toronto is a very, very soccer-heavy city.
I've
been there a few times, and of course, you can go to a few different pubs in Kensington Market, and whatever, it could be a random game on in Spain. There's going to be people there, and there's going to be fans of either team playing there watching. It could be noon on a Sunday. They're going to be there watching that game for sure. It's a big soccer city, Toronto.
It absolutely is. Coming up on The Gloves Are Off, the Major League Baseball has changed their all-star rules as part of the collective bargaining agreement. We'll talk about that next. Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Major League Baseball is on the sked right now, and as part of the collective bargaining agreement, gentlemen, Major League Baseball said that they are no longer going to allow the winner of their All-Star game to have home field advantage in the World Series. I know that Mr. MacVicar, pardon me, this is a hot topic conversation for you. Let's see what you got to say.
It's guaranteed going to be a hot topic issue for both of us. I brought it up with him this morning before the show, and Andrew had some interesting things to say that he probably can't say on TV. But I mean, what a bad idea. What a bad idea. They had a reason to play the All-Star game, unlike any other leagues.
So bad idea to get rid of it.
Bad idea to get rid of that rule. That should be that's kind of why I like the baseball All-Star game compared to other All-Star games, because there was a reason why they were playing it. And if you look even at ratings, it's been dropping significantly. It was 14 million people watched the 2009 All-Star game. How many watched 2016, which everyone thought was their biggest? 8.7. Wow. That's huge. That's a huge drop in viewership. The ratings have been dropping every single year since 2001. A couple of pickups randomly, but the fact that nobody cares with this rule means, taking it away, what's that going to do for the viewership then? I mean, you got to have something to play for in these things. They're fun, but you got to have something to play for.
You and I have discussed, we've discussed All-Star games before. Fire away, sir.
It's an all-star game. Who cares? I see why they're getting rid of it. AL has won this thing so many times. It's now more giving advantage to the American League. 11
out of the last 14 All-Star games have been won by the American League, which means that team has had home field advantage in the World Series.
And that's huge.
Eight times the American League has won that out of the 11.
Yeah, so it's a huge advantage to win that in a meaningless game. I don't care. It is a meaningless game. It means nothing, because you shouldn't have to start throwing in your best pitchers and blowing their arms and playing your best batters to win what is a meaningless game, but could basically win you a World Series. There's no connection there, and you're allowing a meaningless game to dictate the most important games of the year. And look at this year, case in point, the Cubs won it, but they went on the road, which is terrible. You don't want that. The best team in baseball should have the best advantage in the World Series, the most important game. So get rid of it. It's an all-star game. put John Scott in MLB and I'll watch that. There we go.
This is
fun.
That'd be awesome.
I understand what you're saying about the fact that you want the best team to have home field advantage, but I kind of am on the side of the fence where I like that the game means something. They actually came out with the slogan, "This one counts," in 2003, and now it no longer does. And an interesting point you brought up, Adam, was about the ratings, and I see this significantly dropping. Now, I feel like this game is no longer for fans. Like most All-Star games, they're not for fans anymore. They're becoming just exhibitions that are totally unnecessary. That's why I like the format of what Major League Baseball is doing. It actually was enjoyable to watch, other than 2007 when they tied because they ran out of pitchers. But it's typically been an enjoyable game to watch.
Yeah, and it almost just seems now it's more of just, let's get those advertising dollars in, let's get the sponsorships, every single thing, they got the sponsorships going. But, it is nice to play for something. Now, if they're going to take away that rule, okay, well, let's try to replace it with something still to keep the interest, because, we're seeing it with other All-Star games. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in how many years now? No. I love football. And they even put it before the Super Bowl to try to get viewers, and it's not helping. There's got to be some incentive there for the All-Star game. I mean, it's there. It's good for the fans who go and attend, but for the fans that watching at home, they're starting to lose them, and that's what I'm seeing here with the baseball All-Star game as well.
Let's move on to some local sports. The Lloydminster Bobcats are struggling this year, to say the least.
Yes.
And the question I'll pose is, have they lost their fangs? And I say, have they lost their fangs compared to last year? Or is this a team that's not gritty enough? Or are they just dealing with a bunch of rookies that have to gel? They started the season 0-11. Since then, they've gone 7-8-2. So they have been better. Do you think this team is gritty enough to play? Or is it just a bunch of rookies that need to gel? Andrew?
It's a bunch of rookies. You cannot compare them to last year's team. Last year's team was
great.
The team. That was the built team, built on skill, built on everything. They could beat you anyway. And you watch them night in, night out. They could beat you with finesse. They could beat you with physicality. They can beat you power play. They could beat you any way they want. And that's how they got as far as they did. This team needs to learn how to win. You change out 24 guys, it's going to take a while. It's going to take some licks, and they've unfortunately had to deal with a lot. It's been taking longer than it needed to. I think a lot of people would say, we're in just mid-December and halfway through the season and they're still figuring it out. I would be worried, but of course it's going to take a lot of time.
It's interesting because it's almost like professional teams go through a rebuilding phase. The Lloydminster Bobcats seem to be going through that rebuilding phase. So is it something that you think that they should have that set by now, or is it going to take them a full season?
Well, I mean, you say they lost their fangs, so they lost how many? They lost 24 fangs. They lost a ton of their guys last year. I mean, we had this conversation after that 0-11 start. Okay, well, October, they'll start to pick it up. November, and by December, we're not going to be talking about these woes. But, I mean, it seems that way. Now they're on the road for an 8-game road swing to end 2016. I mean, what a way to turn it around if they at least got at least four victories on this road trip. Then, perhaps we can start to talk about, that rebuild, maybe even a playoff team. But right now I don't know. It's a tough year. A bunch of rookies still trying to bond together. But I'm hopeful 2017, a little bit of a break. 2017 will be better.
Well, they already started the road trip well. Picked up a win over Drumheller 3-1. What do you say about this road trip, Andrew? You think that this is a defining point in their season?
It can be. Like this weekend especially, they're playing Grand Prairie in two games. You win those 2 games, now you've jumped up and you could be high 6 at the end of this weekend. They're going to go to Whitecourt. Whitecourt's dominant, let's be honest. It's basically what the Bobcats were last year. Actually, half the team is probably the Bobcats from last year. You look at the road trip, there's a lot of winnable games, and they need to win those. So, yeah, if they're not in a playoff spot at the end of Christmas and going into the new year, there's going to be problems. January
6th, the Lloydminster Bobcats are back at home. We'll be back in a moment with some over-unders. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Of course, here with Andrew Brethauer and Adam MacVicar, and we are talking over-under. Everybody's favorite game. Who's ready to lose?
I hope I do again.
I'm here strictly for the W.
I love it. Listen, since we were talking about TFC, let's discuss BMO Field.
Love that stadium.
You do? Very interesting. What was the original cost to build BMO Field when it was opened in 2007? Mr. Brethauer, we'll start with you.
Who knows? 112 million.
Over or under, Mr. MacVicar?
It's a beautiful stadium, but it's not a $100 million stadium. I'm going to say under.
You are correct. It is $62.9 million. Good start. 1-0.
It's Toronto. They overspend. Plus, it's Ontario. Our taxes probably drove it up. So.
The TFC did at one point, or BMO Field, pardon me, did host an MLS All-Star game. In what year did they host that All-Star game? Mr. MacVicar, your turn.
What year did they host an All-Star game? 2008?
Over or under? Over would be like 2009, 2010, 2011. Under would be under that, clearly.
I'll go over.
You'll go over. That is correct. It is 2010.
Oh, snap.
Here's an
Well,
interesting bit of
soccer boy.
All-Star trivia. We're tied at 1. How many times has the American League, how many times has the American League won the All-Star game since its induction in 1933?
How many years?
That's for you, Mr. MacVicar.
That's for me?
Yes.
Okay, if it's for me. 44.
Over or under?
Over.
That is close. It is 43 times. Very close. I like it. The National League has the most consecutive wins in All-Star games since 1933. How many is it, Mr. Brethauer?
8.
Over or under?
Under.
It is 11. From 1972 to 1982. We're tied at 2, gentlemen. It's coming down to the wire.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
The Bobcats, I feel like, actually, this could go either way. This could go either way. The Bobcats' original name were the Lloydminster Lancers.
I don't mind that.
For how many years did that team use the name, Mr. Brethauer?
It was, I think, like 11 seasons.
Mr. MacVicar, over or under?
Under?
It is under. It was 7 years, which means, Mr. MacVicar, you are the winner. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. That
Thank
was a
you.
solid
First
effort.
time.
I think I'm the winner.
We're going to have to start doing a thing where the loser gets to do something.
We should also start doing a thing where you pay the co-host. Maybe we should start doing that. That would be a great thing to start doing.
That's all the time we have today.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
So you have a sound off coming up. What are you thinking? What do you got coming up? What do you think?
I just realized that that's what the victor has to do.
You had
here.
no idea that that's what the winner did.
So
See?
well,
Now I'm
yeah. So
smart.
now,
Hosted this
so
show.
like, yeah, I know. So now I have to realize. Well, I have a little bit to figure it out. So we'll see what happens.
You could say something about Andrew Brethauer's sign out on the
That
highway.
is true. We could say something about that sign.
How you're jealous, I know.
I have.
Coming up, we've got sound off with Mr. Adam MacVicar. Can't wait to hear what this man has to say. We'll be back. Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Lance Phillips here with Andrew Brethauer and Adam MacVicar. Of course, I said we were going straight to sound off because I was so eager to hear what Adam had to say, but we're actually going to do fair or foul. But before we do that, this is for you. This is a debit card. I'll give you the PIN after the show. It's payment for being on the show, and it should buy you an all-expenses trip back home. Fuel to get home. I'm assuming that's all that's on it. This is
Do you
mine.
know where I'm from?
It's mine.
I think he meant it's like home, like here in Lloyd,
I was going to say, I'm like, do you know where I live?
like New Cap to like.
Yeah, no,
Sorry,
that's what I
Lloyd.
mean. It's not going to get you far.
All right.
Let's go to
I
fair or
know.
foul. We're going to start with you, Andrew. The Lloydminster Bobcats will make the postseason this year. Fair or foul?
Oh, for sure, fair. Grand Prairie's that bad. Like, no, that's easy. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. They had to get over that hump. Now they're over it. I think they're fine. Grand Prairie is a disaster of a team. Drayton is showing its finally colors. They were starting off strong, but they're going to fall down too. I think as long as they keep a solid pace, no problem making the playoffs.
I agree with Andrew. I think once that momentum starts to roll in after the Christmas break, they're going to start to cap off some more wins, a couple more wins at home, and then once the playoffs start, it's a different atmosphere, different mentality. You know, every game counts, and I think that's when we're going to start to see them shine a little bit.
Okay, so then the question is, the Fangs question. Do they have the Fangs to make some noise in the playoffs?
I think they probably could, maybe a little bit. I don't see them going all the way, unfortunately. Of course, yeah. But I do see them, you know, they're going to get a few good wins, and then, you know, that's going to be some confidence heading into next year for the returning guys.
All right.
Not a chance. First round elimination.
That's it. Three words. Not a chance.
No.
The Blue Jays will not make the postseason in 2017. Fair or foul, Mr. MacVicar?
I say that's, not. So foul makes they will make the playoffs, right?
If you say foul,
Foul,
means they will.
they will. Yeah, I see them making the playoffs next year.
Wow.
I do see them making the playoffs next year. They've set the precedent, and it's not like they're going to come out next year after only, you know, getting to the second or third round this year. You know, I don't see that next year. They're just going to completely miss it. I think they do get in next year. They do well. They're going to be a playoff team for the next few years, depending on a few factors, of course. But I do see them making the playoffs next year.
I say fair. Other teams are loading up again. Boston's loading back up again. It's a division of spending. They spend a lot of money to play in that division, and Toronto's not spending the money anymore. So they're going to rely a lot on talent. If they can bring some talent in, they can be fine. Wild card team at most, but they're not making it in that division.
Certainly looks like Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista are gonzo, which means they need to fill those voids, and I think they will, but it's not going to be enough to make the postseason. Now we're going to have Mr. MacVicar's sound off coming up next on The Gloves Are Off. Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. Adam MacVicar, he is fired up. I can see it in his eyes for his sound off. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, which one do I got? This one right here?
That's the
All right,
one, baby.
Perfect.
Oh.
So I guess recently I have been working on a feature. Of course, you know, for the Christmas break, we have our CRTC regulated time. And I'm working on this feature right now about these guys up in Onion Lake who are trying to teach youth how to box and, you know, try to keep them on the old straight and narrow. So really working on that, looking forward to actually getting it all completed and then putting it out. But I think it's going to be a real treat. Hopefully a few of you guys end up tuning into this thing because it's a very interesting story. So that's my sound off right there.
I like it. I got to go up and watch me some boxing up in Onion Lake. You should take me with you.
Yeah, they're cool guys.
Thanks very much for watching The Gloves Are Off. I'm Lance Phillips for Andrew Brethauer and Adam MacVicar. See you in 7 days.